Welcome into the Stardom Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Stefen McKinney, joined as always by Jacob Stevens and Ashton Mitchell. Week 2 is upon us. We had a good Thursday night game last night, or better than expected, at least for me, with the Bengals and the Browns. Some bounce back performances from Nick Chubb. OBJ had a nice night. You guys worried about AJ Green a little bit?
Always worried about AJ Green.
Well, look, he was healthy. He was on the field. He got a bunch of targets. I think him and Joe Burrow will figure it out.
Yeah. The amount of times that Joe Burrow just seems to be trying to get AJ Green in the end zone should give you some hope. It hasn't turned into production yet, but it's a rookie quarterback. Give him some time. AJ Green is a proven elite wide receiver, so I think you hold on to AJ Green for a while. Maybe put him on your bench just until they can get it going. But definitely, I don't think it's worth trading or definitely not dropping at this point. But guys, we got some listener lineup questions to go through. We got some ins and outs in terms of injuries for game time decisions. We got the second half of the weekly matchup preview, and then we have our starts and sits of the week. I'm excited to hear y'all's. Last week we had some really good hits and some really good misses.
Good misses.
Now we'll continue throughout the season.
We will keep those.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
DL.
I'm excited to hear what y'all's takes are. Hopefully, none of my guys are on your sits in terms of my actual people in my lineup. So we'll have to see. But let's jump into some lineup questions, guys. There's some good ones this week. We have for the first one a standard scoring format. It's a little bit different, but you have to start 2 out of these 3. We got DJ Moore against that Tampa Bay defense, David Montgomery going against the Giants, or Will Fuller versus Baltimore. Out of those 3, which 2 are you starting?
I think Montgomery he's like my definite.
Okay.
As he's playing the Giants, I think it should be a smash.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Will Fuller, he's going to be soaking up those targets. I think Brandon Cooks is going to be back this week, correct? I think.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks should be a full go.
I don't know, man. I didn't like how those wide receivers played against the Ravens. I guess I'd have to go DJ Moore and Montgomery, man. What do you guys think?
Just off of performance ability, I'm going DJ Moore. I think with his size, with his 50-50 up ball capabilities. If Bridgewater can get him the ball in a good position, I think it's going to be an easy win for him. Tampa Bay's backfield their secondary is pretty good, but I think DJ Moore has a good shot there.
Who's your number 2?
Probably Montgomery. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of matchups for these 3, David Montgomery clearly has the best matchup. The Baltimore defense and the Tampa Bay defense are both very respectable. But I think DJ Moore is a must play. I think Montgomery and Will Fuller are actually more 50-50 for me. Montgomery, in terms of just that matchup he has, is great. But Will Fuller looked to be the only option for Houston last week. I know it's a tough matchup versus the Ravens, but he's still going to get targets, and he always has a chance to get a long touchdown where I haven't seen that top end play or that big game from David Montgomery.
Maybe a safer floor.
Yeah, if you need a safe floor, I think David Montgomery is the play. If you need a big game, I think Will Fuller's a better option for you. But he also could have a really, really bad game. So it kind of depends on the way you want to take it. If you want the safer play, I go DJ Moore and David Montgomery as well. And then the second lineup question we had was a half-point PPR scoring. Just Michael Gallup versus Atlanta straight up against Will Fuller versus Baltimore.
I think that'd probably actually be Gallup pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it's Gallup for me as well.
He looks really good, and Dak seems to have a good connection with him.
Yeah, and that Atlanta defense, secondary. Couldn't keep up with Russell Wilson last week. So
dangerous.
All right, guys, that's our lineup questions for the week. We have quite a long list of possible injuries to go through. So let's go ahead and hit them headstrong here.
Here we go.
James Conner.
He's going to be in, but beware of the James Conner effect and the fact that he could really get injured, pop out, and then Benny Snell looked really good the other night. He might even just be splitting carries, managing his workload moving forward. So, yeah, he's going to be in, but I'd be weary.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, even if he is, full go, do you expect him to still have, Benny Snell taking some of those carries away from him now after that big week one? Next up, Devontae Parker.
He is limited. He's been limited like the past 2 days, but I'd say more than likely he's going to play. They're leaning towards him playing.
Gotcha.
But he's playing the Bills.
Right.
So I don't know if you're playing him unless you have to. He's on a couple of my benches right now.
Gotcha. What about Phillip Lindsay?
I think he's going to be out this week. His toe is hurting really bad. Apparently turf toe is really awful, but I think he's going to be out this week.
Okay.
Melvin Gordon show.
What about Chris Godwin?
So this one's a little trickier. He's in the concussion protocol. Basically, I think you're going to try to have a backup option or know what you're going to do like last minute and figure out if he gets through the concussion protocol. I'm not sure what day that'll be announced, but I would just stay on top of it. I mean, you're starting him. They're playing the Panthers. It's going to be a all-out free-for-all.
So an example for this, I have Chris Godwin in a couple of my teams, and I've moved him to the flex position with an option to switch him to another receiver, tight end, or running back. So if you have him and you have that capability, that's not a bad play. So last-minute decision, game time decision, you can make a quick switch. You're not relying on a receiver that might play before him or whatever. So be strategic.
Manage your lineups correctly. Yep.
Deebo Samuel.
He's on the IR, so he's missing at least. I don't know. Did they put him on before last week?
No,
Anyways, 3 games. He's out this week.
Yeah, that was actually a surprising IR move because he was a possible play week
exactly.
1 and then showed up on the IR this week. So, same team. What about George Kittle?
He's not practicing at all this week. So, but they're just resting him, and then they're going to come game day. They're going to put him. I guess they're going to kind of warm him up and see how he feels. And I think he's going to probably play. And I don't think you can really not play George Kittle if you have him, unless you've got some crazy stack of some sort. But I think it's going to be last second, so just pay attention to the news.
Gotcha. Kenny Galladay.
I don't know, man. He's been out all week. He's been out of practice all week long. If anything, I don't think I'd play him once it comes down to it anyway. They're playing the Packers. I'm just not excited about it.
Yeah, I'd say keep an eye on the practice report from today from the Lions. I think if he turns in a limited practice, he should be good to go. But if he's not practicing again, he'll probably miss. And last but not least, what about Duke Johnson?
I would say he is least. But
oh, dude, he's probably better than George
was limited.
Kittle, right?
He's limited. He's got a sprained ankle. Well, he might be a game time decision, but I don't really care.
Well, yeah, I'm just more for the upside of David Johnson. All right, guys. Well, that does it for our injuries. There'll probably be even longer week to go through. But let's get into our second half of weekly matchups. We did the first half on the Wednesday show. We're going to do the second half now. But let's start it off with the Lions at the Pack. 46 point over-under with Green Bay as a 5.5-point favorite. What do y'all think of this game here?
I'm still worried about the Lions backfield. I mean, AP did look good. I will give you that, Ashton. I know you were loving all of that. But I think DeAndre Swift, I don't know if he's going on probation for that atrocious crime he committed at the end of that game, but I don't think they're gonna. It's and carry on. He was probably the odd man out. I think we talked about that earlier this week. but I think Aaron Jones should run all over the Lions. David Montgomery had a decent day against them. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at on the running backs. And we just talked about Galladay. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad drop at the end of the game last week for Swift, and it was a beautiful pass, game-winning pass by Matt Stafford. It's just unfortunate how that unfolded, but I can see them continuing to target Swift this week. Maybe just be a little bit more conservative about it, just to help build up his confidence or rebuild his confidence there after such a bad play last week. But I think Packers have it. I think Aaron Rodgers looked phenomenal last week. Devontae Adams went off. Then you had guys, MBS stepped up and Alan Lazard. So it's kind of folding out to be a pretty decent squad, an underrated squad. So I think I'd lean a little bit more towards the Packers players.
Do you have full confidence starting Aaron Rodgers this week?
Would
you guys, both of you?
Always.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew what Stefen was going to say.
Guys, for me, I think just like you guys say, I think Aaron Rodgers keeps it going in week 2 against the Lions. You should see a big game from Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. So no concerns on that side for me. On the Lions side of the ball, though, I am a little bit more concerned. I'm still not comfortable starting these running backs. I know Adrian Peterson had a great week, but I mean, we even talked about it, like the amount of snaps that he was actually on the field. He definitely made the most of his opportunity, but he wasn't on the field enough to really see that continue, at least until we can see that he's clearly their favorite option. And with Galladay's status being up in the air, I don't really know the outlook to have for Matt Stafford. I do have him on either one of my starts or sits of the week, so we can talk about him a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, that's basically my outlook. I'm a little concerned about Marvin Jones here. They have a really good secondary in Green Bay and a great pass rush. So we'll have to see.
Any looks for Danny Amendola? 81 yards last week, 5 receptions.
He did good. I don't know about consistency, though. I'd have to see more.
I think if Kenny Galladay is a miss, if he's not playing,
like a sneaky flex play.
Amendola can be pretty safe. It doesn't have a high ceiling, but should give you a pretty safe, consistent floor if Galladay's out. Cool. Next up on the list is we have the Buffalo Bills visiting the Miami Dolphins. A lower over under here, 41.5 points, with the Bills being favored by 4, which was a surprise. I thought this would be a heavy Buffalo line, but
yeah, me too.
What do you guys make of this game? Do you think it's going to be a defensive showdown like they're expecting, or how do you take it?
I'm not putting any faith into the Bills' backfield here. I think as far as rushing yards, you're going to lean towards Josh Allen. He did look to have a good connection with Stephon Diggs, so that could be a good matchup there with them. I don't know. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss scare me though right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting that out. I actually have no shares of either in any of my leagues, just because the talk of Zach Moss all throughout training camp was just like he might take this from Singletary, and it's clear that Zach Moss will probably get the goal line work, but you always got Josh Allen who could run one in just as easy. But I think Josh Allen's going to be fine. A lot of the defensive pieces have been limited this week for the Dolphins. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. I'm not starting their Miami's backfield at all either. Miles Gaskin apparently is a big deal down there instead of Matt Breida and Jordan Howard. I'm not really looking at the tight ends either. I do like Diggs. I mean, I think I like Diggs, and John Brown's actually a little injured himself, so I'm not really trying to get into that either.
Not a lot of optimism for anybody here, huh?
No, the Bills' defense is pretty great.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think we saw basically a 50-50 split with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss last week. Zach Moss got the upper hand just with getting in the end zone on that receiving touchdown. But overall, like Singletary, I think had 2 more touches on the day. They had an equal amount of rushing opportunities. So it seemed to be exactly what everybody was expecting with a 50-50 split. I think some people were expecting Singletary to lead the way, at least to start the season. But We saw Zach Moss actually get targeted twice as a receiving option in the end zone, which I think was the biggest surprise to me. I didn't think he was going to be that big of a receiving threat. But I thought Josh Allen looked fantastic week one. This Dolphins secondary is pretty legit, as you said, with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. But I think everywhere else in that Dolphins defense is not great. So I expect Josh Allen to continue to keep it rolling. And if John Brown's a go, I expect him and Stephon Diggs to have another great week too. On the Dolphins side of the ball, though, like you guys said, like the running backs, I can't imagine starting them right now, especially against the Bills defense. Parker's banged up. Like it's hard to start any Dolphins players at this point. Terrible matchup. I try to take advantage of them when they have a better matchup. Devontae Parker should be a good play the rest of the season, just not against the Bills.
Yep.
What about the Vikings at Indianapolis against the Colts? 46.5 point over under. Colts are 3-point favorite. What's y'all's outlook on this one?
I think Cousins is going to have a good game this week. I think they're going to be playing from behind a little bit here, so I think they're going to be passing the ball a little bit more. Thielen looked good last week. I'm curious to see who's going to take over wide receiver 2, whether it's going to be Johnson or Justin Jefferson. So I'm kind of looking to wait on that and see how this game unfolds. Maybe see right now it's split. They split last week, so kind of in the mix for that right now. Paris Campbell looked really good last week. I think he split with Ty. I think they split evenly. So actually, do you have the numbers on that? I'll look in the meantime. But
Paris Campbell hit 6 receptions and 71 yards.
Yeah, so I really like Paris Campbell. We'll talk about him a little bit more down the road here, but I think that could be a good game for him as well on the Colts side.
T.Y. Hilton had 53 yards. Sorry, I was looking.
I'll jump in real quick too as well. My outlook here. I think it's Jonathan Taylor time, guys. Like Marlon Mack is expected to be out for the season. I expect Jonathan Taylor just to absolutely break out here and expect him to be a top 15 back the rest of the season. He should be just a constant start the rest of the way. Nyheim Hines is actually going to have a big role going forward. He had a nice week one, but expect him to be even more involved as they continue to go forward. I know they want to get him out of the backfield as a receiving option. He even looked good running the ball last week. T.Y. Hilton, I think, was the odd man out last week. We expected him to have a bigger game.
Changing this week.
Paris Campbell was the guy. I think that connection with Phillip Rivers will continue to develop, and T.Y. should be fine. I don't think you should have too much worry there. This Viking secondary, they're not as strong as they've been in years past. So I don't have any concern with T.Y. or Paris Campbell this week. I think they should both. Campbell's probably a flex consideration. T.Y. should still be plugged in as your wide receiver too, and be fine there. And on the Vikings side of the ball, like this isn't a bad matchup. I mean, the Colts have a pretty middle of the pack defense, but Dalvin Cook's going to get it done. Adam Thielen should have a nice game. And I think another receiving option there is probably going to have a solid game. I just don't know if I'm willing to take the bet on who it's going to be. They got 2 pretty good tight ends in Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph. But I think Justin Jefferson's going to get it going at some point this season. I just don't know when it's going to be, and I'm not ready to plug him into my lineups yet.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with all that. I think Phillip Rivers is a pretty good streamer this week as well. Just after you saw Aaron Rodgers torch the Viking secondary, kind of like Stefen was talking about. But your running backs are full. I think everyone in this game could have a pretty good game.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, this is going to be one that Ashton's going to like to talk about. Let's talk about the Washington football team, the 1-0 Washington football team.
NFC East leading
the NFC East. Gotta love it.
Nonsense. Go ahead, Ashton. Y'all let you take this one.
Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, they have some work to do on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, defense looked great. They had 8 sacks. I'd like to see that carry over. They have a tough matchup against the Cardinals and a very mobile Kyler Murray. So this will be a tough matchup for them, but it's either they prove themselves against a tougher team like this, or they fall short. So looking to see how that unfolds. But the backfield in Washington is still up in the air for me. I mean, they used Peyton Barber a lot last week. I think he has to be a little bit more efficient for him to kind of mainstream that role. But I'm anticipating they let loose Antonio Gibson a little bit more this week. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Terry McLaurin, as hard as it is for me to say that. I mean, he's going to be going against Patrick Peterson, so that's going to be a rough game for him.
Not optimal.
Yeah, but I mean, this could be something where he surprises us too and shows just how good he is. But I'm a little worried with Haskins, and he needs to
always worried for Haskins.
He needs to let loose a little bit. So this could be a really good game for the Cardinals, I think.
Yeah, what I'm looking at here, Kyler Murray is going to dominate. He was so good this past week. I didn't realize how fast he was. I mean, he was, golly dang, he was getting it. I'm hoping Kenyon Drake kind of has a bounce back game. I know he did okay. I'm expecting it to be a little bit tougher with the Washington line looked pretty good, but hopefully he can get involved in the passing game back there. I don't know about DeAndre Hopkins. You know, he really worries me.
The way he played last week
their connection seemed to be just fine. Everyone out there that was wondering. Christian Kirk, he actually went to him a couple times on some deep passes, and it just didn't work out. I'm hearing all these people saying they're dropping Christian Kirk. If it's going to be this pass heavy, DeAndre Hopkins had 16 targets, I think, 14 catches. I don't think that's going to happen every week. So I think Christian Kirk's going to have to get involved.
It's pretty good pace.
Yeah. So I do think the Cardinals will handle the Washington football team here, but I don't think it'll be some blowout though.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm on the opposite side. I think the Cardinals should handle the Washington football team pretty handily. We saw a good performance from Washington.
He said that last week too.
We saw a good performance from that Washington defensive line last week against Carson Wentz. But I'll tell you what, Kyler Murray is quite a little bit faster than Carson Wentz. I don't expect that pass rush to be able to contain Murray like they did with Wentz. For me, I think these Cardinals options are great plays this week. DeAndre Hopkins clearly continues to be elite, top 5 starter. Kenyon Drake should have a great game. I think they're going to really focus on trying to stop DeAndre Hopkins and open up some holes for Kenyon Drake to be good. Yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk had 0 receiving yards last week, just an FYI. So Christian Kirk is not startable yet, but I think he's still a great person to have on your bench.
Rosterable all the way at the end of your bench.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's going to be another good option here as a receiver for the Cardinals, and I think Fitzgerald's day has passed. I think Christian Kirk should be that number 2 option for Kyler going forward. And on the Washington side of the ball, we saw a good 2-touchdown performance from Peyton Barber last week. Is he someone that y'all are considering as a flex play here?
I don't think I'd mess with either one of those.
Depends on who else I have on my roster.
I want to see Antonio Gibson kind of carve out that role where I can start him because I have him in a couple leagues. So I'm kind of just avoiding that backfield altogether right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm always worried about the Washington offense, but if there's anybody that you're playing, it has to be Terry McLaurin. Doesn't have a great matchup this week. Probably going to get shadowed from Patrick Peterson. And Dwayne Haskins is always prone to making some mistakes. So I'm a little hesitant with all the Washington options. If I'm going to play one, it's probably Scary Terry.
Agreed.
Debatable.
All right, guys, a little bit more of an exciting matchup here with the Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans. We have a 53-point over-under with Baltimore being favored by 6.5 points.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game. Everyone's saying this is the kind of game that Bill O'Brien will win, like one that he's just not supposed to. I don't see that happening, but I do think if Brandon Cooks is back, I think Watson could have a really good game if he's got more people to go to. He didn't look great on the opening night. He did end up with a good amount of points because he's got that rushing floor. He rushed that touchdown in, but I mean, I think you can start David Johnson, I think he's going to be okay with the passing work that he's going to get. Will Fuller obviously looked amazing, and if Cooks is up to better health, I think that would be a really good thing for him, where they can kind of split it up. And Randall Cobb might make an appearance in this game. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Maybe before the last drive of the game.
Would you guys say that everyone on the Ravens is startable, or are you deciding between your running back there?
I would go Ingram as a RB2 or flex.
Yeah, I still have confidence in Mark Ingram. I mean, J.K. Dobbins got the 2 rushing touchdowns last week, but
very valuable.
Yeah, but Mark Ingram still had the bulk of the plays, so I think it was just luck of the draw there. I still have more confidence in Mark Ingram right now.
Yeah,
10 carries for 29 yards.
Understandable.
That's not good.
It's volume though. It's volume.
Yeah,
Opportunity will present itself in volume.
Yeah, Mark Ingram wasn't the highest volume running back last year. It was all about efficiency in the red zone. So
yeah, but if Dobbins is going to steal that, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, but he stole it for one game.
I know. It's one game, and Mark Ingram, he's definitely been a stud. I just think it's a little trickier than it was because you asked. I remember you asked first week, do you think Dobbins is going to have anything to do? I was like, oh no, I think Mark Ingram's going to, he's their guy.
Yeah.
And then boom, pippity poppity, 2 TDs for
Swippity yep.
Swippity swappity. Exactly. That's what I was looking for.
What about Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown here? Are you full steam ahead with Marquise Brown at this point?
I have him on. If I have him, I'm starting him.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm trying to think of how the Chiefs did again. I mean, they kind of slowed down Tyreek Hill,
right? Except for
but they opened things up for CEH. So I think he'll be just fine. Him and Andrews, insta starts. Lamar Jackson, maybe. If you don't have.
I want to put that guy in there.
Lamar's got a lot of weapons on the receiving side of the line there. I mean, he gave the ball. He got it to Willie Snead. He's got Boykin. I mean, he's got a lot of options there, but
yeah.
I mean, out of all of those, I would definitely start Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, but
there's a reason this game has this high of a over under.
Right.
I think there's going to be a lot of points scored.
What do y'all think about Willie Snead in terms of a waiver ad and a possible flex start in the right matchup?
I mean, he had a good week last week. I mean, he's a reliable slot receiver. I mean, so depending on the matchup, I mean, if you have a weak backfield, I mean, midfield options there are great for Lamar and Willie Snead matchups. So, I mean, it kind of just depends. But
he's a little too up and down for me,
right?
Because what you're going to see is Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews have the bulk of it. But let's say they have a rush heavy game, you're not going to. I mean, Willie Snead's not going to have touchdowns over Mark Andrews. I don't think. I think that's where they're going to be there, or they're going to be split between that backfield, or Lamar Jackson's just going to run it himself. So, if it's maybe like on a boom or bust, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. You're going to have to pick and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
Kind of just unfolds to whatever Lamar feels like doing on each and every play.
Do I want to pass today? Do I just want to stop on a dime, make them look like idiots?
It's too much of a rush-heavy offense, I think, to have Willie Snead
expect that passing
as a consistent
volume. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and on the Texans side of the ball, what do y'all make of David Johnson in week 2? He looked really, really good in week 1. Didn't have a crazy high game, but still he looked fantastic every time he had the chance to run. What do y'all make of David Johnson this week?
I like him this week.
Yeah, I mean, based off his performance last week, I'd keep him on your roster. Keep him on your starting lineup.
Like I kind of mentioned earlier, I think he'll probably be pretty involved in the passing with David. Duke Johnson just somewhat injured anyway. I think he's going to be on the field just as much and kind of play like the Kareem Hunt role last week that the Browns played, because they're going to probably be behind and just kind of trying to catch up. And I think it's going to be a shootout. So it's going to be a good time. What do you think about David Johnson this week?
Yeah, I think I'm higher up on the Ravens defense than I am on the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs have a pretty decent defense. So I don't think David Johnson's going to be as efficient as he was last week, but I expect.
I don't think he's going to have 7 yards per carry.
Right, but I expect more volume for him. I think he's going to have more opportunity to get it going. So yeah, I'm still confident with David Johnson. He should still be
RB1.
No. I don't think it's RB1 week.
RB2, yeah.
He should be a pretty safe mid to low end RB2 though.
Yeah.
Should give you some safe production. Yeah, Will Fuller hit so much volume last week. He looked like he was the only option for Deshaun Watson for the majority of that game. But this is a really hard matchup for him to go against. He's been known his whole career to be that kind of just bomb down the field kind of guy. But last week he provided production all across the field. So I'm still rolling out with Will Fuller. I have full confidence right now until he seems to find other options with Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. What about the Chiefs against the Chargers? Obviously, Patty Mahomes is a go. But what about the rest of the options in this game?
Yeah, I mean, apparently the Chargers are Mahomes' kryptonite. So you might see a lower quality game, but he's still going to go off, and I'm not really worried about him at all. Tyrod Taylor sucks, as I told you guys, and Stefen, you didn't believe me. I don't think he's going to do much. So I don't think the passing options are going to be great. I think if anyone has a big game on the Chargers side, it's going to be Mike Williams. He seemed to target him a lot last week. Hopefully Allen has a bounce back week, though, is kind of what we're looking for there. But for the Chiefs, I mean, you got Kelsey's going, CEH is going, Tyreek Hill's going. What do you guys think about the other options on both sides of the ball?
I'd like to see the Chiefs use Mecole Hardman a little bit more. But, I mean, obviously you're going to start Mahomes, CEH, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, probably a good wide receiver 2 or flex. I think on Chargers side, I think Austin Eckler's going to have a bounce-back game. I think they're going to use him a lot on the pass option there as well, so look for him to have a higher game than he did last week.
Yeah, for me, I mean, if in fact the Chargers are Mahomes' kryptonite, what does a bad game from Mahomes look like? I mean,
instead of 32 points, he gets 26.
Last week, so
no, this LA secondary is actually pretty good though. So
dropping like flies, man.
Yeah, I know we're gonna miss Derwin James obviously, but the rest of those options are no slouches. They have Casey Hayward. So I mean, they have a lot of good depth back there at defensive back. So maybe Tyreek Hill might be kind of locked down again. Week 2, we saw him get saved by a touchdown last week.
Yep.
But I mean, Demarcus Robinson was targeted, had 2 touchdown drops. Like we said, like any of these other wide receiver options can get it going any week. Like you could see another good Sammy Watkins week.
Right. That's what I was about to ask you. Do you have like any confidence? Like, okay, Sammy Watkins, I can start you in my lineup this week as a flex.
No, I don't think I'm playing Watkins yet. I think
see a couple more weeks after what he did to us last year.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Travis Kelce last week though have a great first half and then disappear in the second half. So it's there's so many weapons for that Chiefs offense.
I know.
Mahomes can get it to anybody. Clyde Edwards-Helaire should have another great week. This is a pretty easy defense to run against. But on the Chargers side of the ball, I think you could see a really nice week from Hunter Henry. He was the number 1 option last week for Tyrod, and they're definitely going to be down. So expect Tyrod to have to air it out a little bit. Hunter Henry should have a nice game. You might see a bomb to Williams, and then Keenan Allen. I think will be more involved this week. He had 4 for 37 last week, so expect him to get some more targets, get some more looks, and then to have to rely on throwing the ball a little bit to stay in this game. What about we had the Patriots versus Seahawks? Cam last week looked great. Looked to be back in his MVP form that we've seen before.
Yeah.
Was just running the ball left, right, and center. What is y'all's outlook for this game?
Wilson's phenomenal. I mean, I think Cam. This is going to be a fun game to watch because you have 2 mobile quarterbacks. You just have that comment from Belichick basically saying Russell Wilson is the best player in the NFL right now.
Best QB.
No, he said player.
Did he?
Yes.
That's
best
pretty high
player.
praise.
Yeah, I'd say
That
so.
eat it, Tom Brady. You suck.
Well, it also really bodes a lot of confidence to Cam, his also mobile quarterback that he's taken on this year. But
Right, that he's playing the best QB in the league like
Yeah.
next game. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck, bud.
So this will be a fun game to watch, but I think Cam's gonna have a good game. You're definitely starting Cam if you have him. Julian Edelman, I think, is gonna have some more consistency this week. I'm not sure about the backfield. I think N'Keal Harry could have more play this week as well. So as far as the Patriots sides go, but
He dropped a touchdown, didn't he? Or he fell at the one. What did he do last week?
I think he came up. Did he drop it or I don't remember?
I can't remember.
Well, now you brought it up, and now none of us know. So now we just look stupid.
I think that's pretty much what happened. He either fell short of a touchdown or he dropped a touchdown or he fumbled. Oh, he fumbled into the end zone. Remember?
Yeah.
That's what
Turn
it
the ball
was.
over. Yep.
What a loser.
Sure. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not really excited about the receiving options on that end, but at the same time, you just saw the Falcons go to town on the Seahawks. You know, so
Yep.
it's like I know Jamal Adams is there, so I don't know how I feel about the Patriots. Outside of Edelman, I'm kind of scared. I guess I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think N'Keal Harry had 6 targets though, so I think that they're just gonna, like you said, Cam's just gonna. They had so many. I think it was 14 designed runs or something for him, and he did really well with it. 2 rushing touchdowns. Russell Wilson, obviously, super start. How do you feel about Chris Carson this week?
Yeah, I mean, are y'all? I mean, we'll address Chris Carson first, but are y'all worried about the wide receiving options for the Seahawks? The Patriots secondary is one of the best in the league. So does Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf also worry you? So I guess we'll talk about all these offensive options for the Seahawks.
Let's just hit the Seahawks right now. I mean, so you got Stephon Gilmore. I know they had a few opt-outs. Was Patrick Chung in their secondary?
Mm-hmm.
So I think one person they'll probably get Stephon Gilmore or Belichick. I don't know. Maybe he'll kind of move him around, but I'm not super worried about Lockett. Maybe he's been so consistent with Wilson, so I still see him as a wide receiver too this week. Metcalf might drop a little bit for me.
How do y'all feel about Greg Olson? Got the touchdown.
I feel nothing.
No, nothing. There's just 4 receptions, but he got the touchdown.
Wait till Will Dissly comes back around, baby. Just you wait.
I think this is a big Chris Carson game. I expect them to utilize him more. They actually really went to him in a pass game last week. He had 6 receptions, 45 yards, and 2 touchdowns receiving, but only had
6 carries,
6 attempts on the ground for 21 yards, which was the surprise for what we've seen from the Seahawks offense in the last couple of years. They've been so reliant on the run. So I expect that to even out this week. I think Chris Carson will probably get more in the area of 15 to 20 carries and not be as heavily utilized as a receiving option. So I'm really optimistic about Chris Carson this week and a little bit less optimistic about the production we'll see from Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, as you said, should be kind of all over the field and should be fine. But DK Metcalf is more of that outside receiver, which should draw Stephon Gilmore on a lot of plays and should be him. Yeah. So I'm not super high on DK Metcalf this week. And on the Patriots side of the ball, like that backfield is so questionable that I think Cam Newton is basically the backfield right now. Like he's your rushing option. He should be the guy to kind of show you that production. The Seahawks defense didn't look great last week. They got carved up by Matt Ryan. So somebody is like, I expect Cam to kind of air out the ball a little bit more, get Edelman more involved, maybe get N'Keal Harry a touchdown. James White could see some production as a receiving back. And maybe Rex Burkhead, because Rex Burkhead was erased from the game plan as a receiver last week. So maybe they'll try to get him out of the backfield, maybe in the across the middle of the field and get him going. So we'll have to see there. What is your take on the Seahawks options, Ashton?
I mean, I think it's going to be a time management game. So I think they're going to rely, like you said, on Carson. If they can get ahead of the Patriots and control the time, control the clock, then that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
I don't count out Wilson and his playmaking ability. So I still think Lockett and Metcalf could have decent games. But I think if they can get ahead, they're going to rely on Chris Carson.
That's fair. All right, guys, last but not least, we have the Monday night game. First game ever in Las Vegas. The Saints at the Raiders. What is y'all's take for this game?
Man, this one actually perplexes me. I don't know how to feel about the Raiders. Like, they seem to have a pretty good offense, and I know they've got some big pieces on their defense too, but they just never seem to kind of rise to the occasion for these big games. But the Saints are more than likely going to be out with Michael Thomas, or they're going to be with a stupid Michael Thomas with a broken ankle, basically, with a high ankle sprain, something you never really want to play with. Even old Saquon Barkley tried to come back early with it last year and just was never the same, really, until the end of the year. I think Drew Brees is going to be kind of limited on his options, and I think they're going to really rely on the running game. So I think Kamara and Latavius Murray are really going to have some big weeks. For the Raiders side of the ball, I think Jacobs man, the Saints have a pretty good rush defense last time I checked. But I think if they give him some receptions as well, I mean, Ronald Jones looked pretty good against the Saints, and I don't think Ronald Jones is anywhere near as good as Josh Jacobs. I don't think he's going to be number one running back on the week, but I think he could be running back one.
Yeah, definitely going to rely on Kamara and Latavius Murray this week. I think Latavius Murray could have a good game this week as well. Emmanuel Sanders has a good opportunity this week to play the wide receiver 1 slot. So,
how about Jared Cook? How do you feel about him? I think he's going to have a big. He could have a good uptick. He was one of his main targets last week.
He was, yeah. It just depends how he plays against the Raiders. I mean, if I can see them getting down into like red zone position, then yeah, I think Jared Cook's going to be a good option for them. But I think they're going to rely a little bit more towards the running back. So as far as Raiders side goes, I think it's Josh Jacobs. They're gonna run the ball, and then I don't know. How do you guys feel about Ruggs based on what he looked like?
I think he was limited a little bit this week with some injury.
He got shaken up on that long pass.
Yeah. So I'm not really
starting
looking him? I'm not starting him. I think the only receiving option I would be comfortable starting is probably Waller, the baller.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a little more optimistic with Ruggs. Everybody was talking about how Brian Edwards was going to break out and be this superstar that nobody was talking about, but he had one reception
so good.
on 9 yards. So. Yeah, I mean, Ruggs, he had a good game. He flashed some upside for his first game in the NFL and led the team in receiving yards. I mean, it wasn't that impressive with only 55 yards, but overall, like he looked like he was explosive. He looked like he had some big play upside for you. But yeah, Darren Waller's still the consistent guy that you can trust. But I think Ruggs could have a flex option here. On the Saints side of the ball, like Kamara and Latavius Murray did not look good rushing last week. They drew Tampa Bay, which wasn't the most ideal matchup for them. So I expect them to both get it going, like you guys are saying. And Traquan Smith, I think, could be the sneaky play here with Michael Thomas to miss this game as kind of that next option for Drew Brees to throw it to. We know he likes to kind of spread it out a little bit more. So I think he could be a sneaky play as well. And Josh Jacobs on the other side of the ball, he's too big a part of this offense to kind of fail. He had 29 touches in week 1. So if he continues to see that kind of opportunity, he should be a great start once again, even though this isn't the easiest matchup against the Saints defense.
Right.
But that wraps it up for our matchup preview. This is my favorite part of the week. We're talking starts and sits. We'll start it off with our starts of the week at the quarterback position. Which one of you guys wants to take the lead on this one?
I'll jump
hop in.
Oh,
No.
oh.
Please.
Go
No.
at the same time, guys.
All right, so Jacob, you sniped me on some of my starters. That's all right. You earned it. You got there
Thank you.
first.
Thank you.
My QB start is Kirk Cousins. I think they're going against the Colts. I'm worried about the Vikings backfield, so I think the Colts might take the lead on this, which means Vikings are going to be playing from behind, which means they're going to be passing the ball more. So I expect Cousins to start balling it out. Thielen is going to be a main target, but I'm anticipating that Justin Jefferson and Beast Johnson could have a solid squad game as well. So look for high passing yards from Kirk Cousins. Volume.
I'll hop in now. I've got Cam Newton. Cam is back.
That's it. That's my
No,
take.
That's it.
No, Seattle's
on.
defense did not look great against the Falcons. I know it's a little bit different of a team with all the that he doesn't have as many receiving options, but I think Cam Newton he's back and he's just gonna they're gonna keep working those designed runs and maybe he'll air it out a little bit more to Edelman this week. Last week they were playing the Dolphins, so didn't really need to as much. So I'm thinking he's gonna be great. Top 10 again.
Nice take.
Thank you.
My start of the week is Josh Allen going against the aforementioned Miami Dolphins. Had a great week one, guys, through the air and on the ground. He's currently the number 3 quarterback, so be impressed. Miami has a really respectable secondary, like we both discussed earlier with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. But Josh Allen's ability to kind of beat you on the ground and through the air should be enough for him to take care of that. It's also worth noting that Josh Allen had 46 pass attempts last week, which was a career high for him. So Sean McDermott seems to be trusting of Josh Allen a little bit more in year 3. I think he believes in his ability to be a little bit more accurate as he continues on his NFL career. He has a shiny new weapon with Stefen Diggs, so I think they keep that going in week 2. What about running backs, guys? There's a lot of really, really great running back matchups this week. Who do you guys have as your start of the week?
I have Austin Eckler going in as my start of the week. I think the Chargers are going to be playing from behind against the almighty Chiefs. I think they're going to be relying on the pass game a little bit more, which means
hopefully they throw it to Eckler this week.
Well, I mean,
it disappointed me.
It would blow my mind to think that they're not going to utilize one of the best receiving backs out there as a pass option. So I'm looking for a lot of dink and dunks over to Eckler on the side and then him taking off. So screen passes.
I like dink and dunks.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just like you said, I'm not relying too heavy on Tyrod Taylor to make big plays. So I'm looking for smart options to Austin, and I'm looking for high volume.
Who do you have, Stefen?
I have Raheem the Dream Mostert as my start of the week versus the New York Jets. The Jets have had a pretty solid rush defense for the last couple of years, but I think there's a lot of receiving options that are banged up there for them with Debo, Kittle to possibly miss this game. So I expect Raheem Mostert to be relied on heavily out of the backfield as both a receiving option and a rushing option. He seems to be the number 1 guy there after week 1. So I'm full steam ahead with Raheem Mostert for week 2.
Very nice. So I've got Rojo, Ronald Jones the second. Don't forget. Last week he really, I think he kind of he was the shining light in that backfield, and I think he looked really good. He had 17 carries, 3 targets against a pretty stout defense with the Saints. So they're playing the Panthers, so they're going from one of the top defenses to one of the worst. So I think he finished at 32 last week. I'm definitely expecting him to be a running back 2 this week.
Well, you said he was nowhere near as good as Josh Jacobs.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, guys. What about wide receiver starts of the week? Is there anybody that's really sticking out to you guys?
Yes, Paris Campbell.
No.
Nope, no one's looking good this week. He led the Colts in receiving snaps, or Colts receivers in snaps last week. He had 71 yards. And he's playing against the Vikings D that gave up 22 receptions, 315 yards, and 4 touchdowns last week to wideouts. So I think it's a great matchup. He's already developed his rapport with Phillip Rivers. So I think it's going to be a solid play for Paris Campbell.
I like that one.
I've got my boy Allen Robinson, the guy trying to get paid. I think he's going to go out this week against the Giants and really just show them what he's worth. They had good conversations, so there's no bad blood or anything about getting him an extension and everything like that. So I think he's going to be good. I think Anthony Miller might take away a little bit, but I think Allen Robinson is going to be the juju that faced off against the Giants on Monday and 2 touchdowns, something like that. Easy work, light work.
Easy 2 touchdowns. My start of the week is DJ Moore versus Tampa Bay. Didn't have the best week 1, only 4 receptions for 54 yards. Seemed to get outdone a little bit by Roby Anderson. And this Tampa Bay rush defense looked super, super good against Kamara and Murray last week. But I expect Tampa Bay to get up early on Carolina. This Carolina defense is not good. So Tom Brady should have a nice week and should get up pretty quick. So I expect Carolina to be very reliant on passing in order to attempt to stay in the game. So DJ Moore should have a nice bounce back week, should have a ton of targets and a lot of receptions. So expect the volume to be there. Maybe he might see the end zone this week.
Hey-o.
And last but not least, what about tight ends start of the week for you guys?
I touched on mine a little bit earlier. No, what are you going to say, Gronk again?
No.
Every week, Gronk is it.
Until he nails it.
Until then.
I'm going to have the week.
Who you got, Ashton?
You guys are just so judgy on my picks, but just save your booze. Just hear me out.
Doesn't have anything to do with your background, does it?
All right, so it's Logan Thomas, okay? He played 75% of the snaps last week. He led the team with eight targets, and he's playing against an Arizona defense that gave up the most fantasy tight end points last week. So
yeah, about 1 billion last year.
Yeah, then last year too. Yeah, so I'm a little worried with the rest of the receiving core, but I think Logan Thomas could have a good game. I think he has a good matchup here, and I hope they take advantage of it. So
the well-known.
I'm not saying Logan Thomas is the tight end to start, but I'm above expectations.
You'd play him over.
Look
Kittle.
At the matchup.
You told me that.
I did. Yeah. Kittle's. He's a little overrated. I think they overpaid Kittle. So.
Oh wow.
He didn't even play tight end in college. You know, he was quarterback.
Yeah.
He's very
versatile.
He's got a lot of experience. You know,
he's a man on your roster. You have to have.
Gotta have him.
Yeah, just in case.
So
sneaky Logan Thomas.
I touched on mine earlier today, a little bit with the Saints game. I think Jared Cook is gonna feast. He's gonna get all those targets that were gonna go to Michael Thomas and just kind of be that short pass for Drew Brees and kind of let him work, and then hopefully fall into the end zone a couple times, 2, 3, 4. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Not walking, but falling.
Oh, so he's gonna catch it in the air and just.
Got it. Okay, I'll be on the lookout for that. My tight end start of the week is Jonnu Smith versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars defense just is not very good, and I think Jonnu Smith looks to be a big part of this offense for Tennessee. Seemed to be pretty reliable in week 1 on Monday night. Found the end zone. I expect Corey Davis to not be quite as involved as he was, and Derrick Henry to have a bigger role. But I expect them to be in the red zone quite often this week. And Jonnu Smith probably found the end zone once again. So Jonnu Smith is my start of the week at tight end. All right, now on a sadder note, let's talk about sits of the week. We'll lead it off again with quarterback. I don't know if you guys are jumping at the bit once again to hit your sit of the week, but who do you guys
I'm gonna do.
Okay.
This is gonna be in depth, so just get ready. I got Drew Lock is playing the Steelers.
End of sentence.
That's it.
Not good. Okay.
My sit of the week is Carson Wentz, coming off a rough game against the Washington football team, where he faced 8 sacks and a ton of pressure. I don't see that easing up too much for him going against the Rams this week. It's not a more exciting picture when you have Aaron Donald rushing to rip your face off. So
That's correct.
That's a lot of pressure on Wentz. I know they're getting Lane Johnson back at right tackle, and they're picking up Miles Sanders this week. So I'm anticipating a little bit more on the run game, trying to get it out of Wentz's hands as soon as possible, ease up on him a little bit, and then even if they do go to the passing game, you have Jalen Ramsey there as well. So it's a tough matchup for Wentz. I would not start him.
Understandable. My set of the week is Matt Stafford versus this Green Bay secondary. I spoke about it a little bit at the start. Green Bay secondary is very, very good, as well as their pass rush. So with Kenny G, possibly missing week 2 once again, I think this matchup is just not very favorable for Matt Stafford to succeed. So I expect him to struggle in week 2. What about running backs, guys? I know we talked about there's a lot of really great matchups, but there's also a couple negative game scripts here. Who do you guys have as your running back sit of the week?
You want me to go this time?
I do.
I have
Actually, no.
I have Breida and Howard, the duo back there, just
The Dookie duo.
untrustworthy right now. Howard only had 6.7 points. Breida had 2.2. I mean, usage, volume, it's just not there yet. Reliability's not there yet. I'm not putting my trust in them.
Fair.
They're going against the Bills. Solid defense. It's not happening this week.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, I've got James Conner here. He did exactly what I've expected him to do. Play a game, look okay, get injured, see you later, never come back. But then this week he's healthy again, so he's going to play. And then what do you think's going to happen? He's probably going to get injured again. And also, Benny Snell, his backup, looked really, really good. Rushed for over 100 yards. So I'm thinking at maximum, like James Conner could be a very deep flex. I think Benny Snell's going to take away from him. I don't think it's going to be a full split, but it's going to be a full. It might be a full split once James Conner breaks his leg off or whatever he's going to do this week. But I would say the Broncos held Derrick Henry pretty much in check for 31 carries. I mean, he did not look great against them, so I don't have much confidence in the James Conner Pittsburgh backfield right now.
My sit of the week is Melvin Gordon. I know he gets to play without Phillip Lindsay, and he gets to be the go-to guy. But as Jacob said, they're playing the Steelers.
Are you telling me Saquon didn't look good against the Steelers?
He looked all right. I mean, he was decent.
If negative yards is like your thing, yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, you want to get positive points, positive yardage, and
For majority of the game.
that's going to be hard to come by, I think, for Melvin Gordon this week. What about a wide receiver sit of the week? Who do you guys have?
Mine's Cortland Sutton coming off the shoulder injury there. If he is slated to play and does come in, he's still going against a Pittsburgh secondary. That's a pretty tough matchup. I'm not investing everything in Cortland Sutton right now. That whole offense is pretty scary to me. That whole team is pretty scary to me as far as taking anyone and putting them in your lineup right now. So a little hesitant on that. And then Pittsburgh just looks really good, really, really good on the defensive side of the ball. So be careful lining that up.
Yep. So I'm actually repeating Devontae Parker again. Last week he faced off against the Patriots. This week he's still injured and doesn't have a great matchup against the Bills. Just one great defense to another. I'm sure what's his name? Tre'Davious White will probably just dominate him. And like I said, he's coming back from injury, so I'm not super excited about it. I think like we said, further down the road, he's gonna, when he gets a couple more better matchups, he's gonna be able to dominate for you. But yeah, he's my sit of the week. Sorry, Devontae. Love you.
Ashton, I'm a little disappointed you didn't follow in our footsteps with your sit of the week and say that he's just playing the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Guys, he's just playing Pittsburgh.
I like that we went quarterback, running back, wide receiver, all matchups against Pittsburgh. So basically, don't start your Broncos players. But for wide receivers of the week for me, I have Terry McLaurin. I think he's going to have great games, throughout the season. I just don't think this is going to be one of them. He gets the veteran and Patrick Peterson to shadow him all game long. And I just don't trust Dwayne Haskins. He'll probably find some great connections with Terry McLaurin as we go on, but I just don't think this is going to be his week. He should provide, probably a wide receiver 3 flex option production this week. I just don't think it's where you drafted him to be.
Right.
So he's just probably on the negative just for this week. But look for better matchups, and he should be fine rest of the season. What about tight ends sit of the week? Who do you guys have?
Mine's Evan Ingram, coming off of 2 receptions for 9 yards.
Gets the
Just not
Steelers,
really,
though.
just not really doing it. Just not really doing it for me. We talked about him earlier on in previous episodes, but he's just one of those guys when he's on, he's on, but he's not on a lot, and it just seems to be more consistent that he's off than he is someone you really want to have in your lineup. So until he's getting more looks and getting more receptions and putting up touchdown numbers, I think he's going to be more touchdown dependent too. I'm not putting him in my lineup.
I've got old Jimmy Graham as my sit of the week for the tight end position. And mainly, I don't know how many people out there are starting Jimmy Graham, but I wouldn't be chasing that touchdown that he had. That's pretty much it.
Fair enough. My sit of the week is Chris Herndon versus the 49ers. Actually was pretty heavily utilized against a really good Buffalo defense in week 1, had 7 targets with 6 receptions. But I just think this 49ers defense is too much to handle for Sam Darnold. I think he'll check it down to Jamison Crowder a lot once again. But I don't trust.
But he's hurting too.
Yeah.
So bodes even better.
I just don't trust the Jets offense this week against the 49ers, especially with Le'Veon Bell to miss this game.
Fair.
But that wraps it up for our sets of the week. Some very interesting takes from you guys. We'll have to see how it shakes out. Maybe we'll discuss this on next week's episode to see how these guys actually performed. But that's all I have for today. If you guys don't have anything else, make sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Podcasts. We're also on the YouTube if you'd like to see our smiling faces. And if you have any lineup questions or any questions at all about your fantasy lineups, make sure to send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and we'll try to add those into next episode. So if that's it, guys, we'll call it a show. See ya.
All righty. Goodbye.